Welcome to Blowing Solutions Wide Open, where we're talking about all things spiritual, as well as creating new systems in the area of healthcare, finance, government, education, new environmental practices, and anything that helps the planet or helps humanity. My name is Addie Halkin. If you think that you have ideas or things to share in any of those areas, please feel free to email me at blowingsolutionswideopen@gmail.com or type the word guest in the comment section of this video, and I'll get back to you and potentially have you come on here and share with people what you know. Also, please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content or you have an interest in getting alternative information out to more people. So I want to start out by saying I apologize for the glasses. My sinuses are kind of going through something, and one of my eyes is really big and kind of yucky looking, and I didn't want to subject you to that ugliness. So, there we go. Anyway, moving on to what I wanted to talk about today. Today, I want to address a very, very popular belief that I've been hearing since I was a kid. I'm sure you've heard it at some point or another. It has to do with what people on the planet have to say around the subconscious and unconscious beliefs and minds of human beings. And, I've heard many people say, oh, the subconscious runs the show, or, the subconscious is in control of 90 to 95% of your life, things like that. I want to share with you something that I listened to some years ago. It was from Abraham Hicks. Now, if you're not familiar, Abraham Hicks is a collective consciousness of beings that Esther Hicks channels. Now, Esther Hicks is obviously a channeler. She's been doing it, I believe, since the 80s. She's very, very good at it. And her format is to speak to large groups of people. And then, certain audience members can ask questions, or Abraham will call on them. Or I should say, Esther/Abraham will call on them. And so they can ask Abraham questions as Esther is channeling them. And so, anyhow, an audience member reached out and asked the question about the subconscious mind. I don't actually remember what the specific question was, but I do remember Abraham's answer. And it was like an answer I'd never heard before. Basically, what they told this person is they said, you don't need to worry about any of that. They said, all you need to pay attention to is how you feel, what you're thinking, and what you're manifesting in the moment. And you know, I remember feeling as I listened to this answer, I remember feeling like a huge sense of relief, to be honest. I resonated with it, and I felt a sense of relief because human beings, we tend to overcomplicate everything. We tend to overdo everything and also overanalyze a lot. And to be fair to us, I think a lot of times why we do that is because we're very passionate. But the truth is that when we do that with things, it tends to lead to faulty premonitions or faulty ideas about things, and also kind of like overload and burnout. And so this answer to me felt very simplistic. But I will say that it wasn't until recently that I was able to 100% fully understand why they gave that answer to a question about the subconscious. And what it has to do with is this. When it comes to whatever you want to know about yourself, or whatever you want to know about why you're manifesting the way you're manifesting, the information is always in our feelings, in our thoughts or beliefs, and in our manifestations. It's always there for us. It's never hidden in another level. Um, Nothing else runs the show. We run the show. And so this idea that it's something that we have to go to therapy for 20 years and peel back all the layers of the onion, all the things that we've told each other. um, it's faulty. In my opinion, it's faulty. And I definitely kind of agree with Abraham on this. And really, ultimately, all you have to do is become like a master neutral observer of what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you're manifesting. And the reason that we often feel like it's unconscious or subconscious is because we miss it, because the information often shows up in chronic feelings or chronic thoughts, or chronic manifestations, meaning, these informations that we're looking for are so habitual in our feelings, in our thoughts, and in our manifestations that we miss it because we're so used to these whatever patterns, or feelings, thoughts, or manifestations. So when we become a neutral observer, we start to catch and question, oh, why am I feeling this way? And we start to just kind of catch all the things that have felt unconscious, but they ultimately weren't. Um, I can use myself as an example. A lot of years ago, I think about 18 years ago, I became very aware all of a sudden of a very deep wound that I had with the universe, with God, with Source. And it was a feeling of life is not fair. And it had to do with feeling like lower frequencies or lower vibrating people, meaning people who are less well intended, who maybe are lazier, who are not looking at themselves as much, tend to get rewarded more. Whereas a lot of the higher frequencies, better people, harder working individuals tend to get crapped on more. Um, that was, ultimately something that I uncovered within myself, and it was deep. And to be honest with you, I'm still working on this one. This has been a really hard uh, I guess, thing to find a new belief around. And so, a lot of people would say, oh, you uncovered something in your subconscious, but I know that's not what happened. I know what happened is all of a sudden I became aware of a chronic feeling that I had had for probably a very long time that I'd never noticed because I was so used to it. And then, obviously I became aware of the chronic thoughts that I was having around this subject. And then ultimately, I started to finally become aware of how all my manifestations, well, not all of them, but a lot of my manifestations, even to this day, have been matching this belief. It's incredible how many manifestations I'm starting to uncover that directly reflect this belief. And these feelings. And so the thing is that when it comes to manifestations, we manifest off of two things. We manifest based off our feelings, whether we're aware of our feelings or not, and off of our beliefs, which some people would say thoughts. And that's it. It's that simple. Now, I'm not saying it's always simple to, correct, a belief or a thought. I should say a belief or a feeling that is not serving you, but the information's always there. And so a lot of people might listen to this and say, you're just, talking in semantics. And if you see it that way, I can understand that. But I just am putting this out there because I want us to try to pull away as much as we can from making things too complex and thinking that we have to go years without answers, when in fact the answers are always in front of you. They really are. Some people might argue this and say, well, what about past lifetimes and other existences? Isn't that on the subconscious and the unconscious level? And what I would say about that is I believe that's on our superconscious level. I believe that's on a level that is beyond our little human brain. And so that's a much more broad place that we access. But in regards to having like all these levels that are beneath the surface, and I'm sorry, I just think that's a faulty human belief. And I really believe that now is the time to start questioning this stuff more. Start questioning, why am I believing this? Is it something that resonates at the core of me, or is it something that I've heard so many times and is so popular that I've taken it on as my own? Because I see that so often. I see like these beliefs out there that, maybe even somebody, looks like they have a good argument for, but it's like everybody latches on to these beliefs without really questioning, is it true for them? One of the classic examples I can give you is, with diet. In my opinion, I see so many crazy imbalanced diets. I mean, just my opinion. Um, and people are looking at these things as the Bible, as like the Holy Grail, yet are they really listening to themselves, or are they just literally latching on to somebody else's belief. And so I just want to say that I think that this subject is one of those subjects where we could really use a more observational stance. We could really step back a little bit more and just start to simplify things and pay attention to how we feel, what we're thinking, and what we're manifesting, because you're going to get all the information you ever need by doing that. And so, anyway, this may not be popular with everybody. I know a lot of people have a lot invested in the whole subconscious, unconscious thing. I know that there are people that have made careers out of these beliefs. You got to do what you got to do. But for me, I think it's much more simplistic. I think that we have everything on the surface here. We don't need to be, thinking that something's hidden from us when in fact it really isn't. Well, if you have spiritual stories, I'd love to hear about it. If you have ideas around changing the systems on the planet, I'd also love to hear from you. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care.